Hello, my name is Josh Bowman and I'm the Director of Percussion here at Christopher Newport University. Today I'm going to be discussing the xylophone excerpt for the District 8 All-District Man auditions. My previous video was discussing the snare drum excerpt, so now we're going to move on to the second part. Now, looking at the xylophone excerpt, I can see that we have three distinct sections or phrases. The first three measures of the etude being the first phrase, then beginning at measure 34 up through measure 37 is our second phrase, and then measure 38 to the end being our final section of the piece. Now, I'm going to discuss this today and each three sections and then play it all the way through at the end. First thing we need to figure out is, of course, what key are we in here? And by looking at everything that we have, all the information we have, I can see that we're in F minor. So I want to be really comfortable with playing in the key of F minor. The first section here, these three bars, we have the introduction, and then it ends with the gliss. So we want to look at here is we want to look at how we're going to phrase and how we're going to stick this initial section. I'm going to go ahead and play these first three bars, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so the initial statement at forte starts with the octave Fs and the upper end of the xylophone. We quickly move all the way down to the bottom of the xylophone. First thing we have to consider is how we're going to get to the E flat on the and of 1. I'm using my left hand to start that downward scale passage because playing the octave Fs here and just moving my left hand down a step will be a lot more convenient, and my chances of note accuracy will be a lot greater versus taking my right hand and bringing it all the way down to the C flat. So at the very beginning, our first statement, and then continuing down here, I'm continuing this kind of left hand lead approach, especially with the syncopated part on the A flat and the F at the bottom. The reason for this is I can set my right hand for the gliss at the end of the phrase. Then my right hand is ready to go. So, one more time from the beginning, under tempo. Now, the gliss. We're starting at the lowest end of the xylophone, and I'm playing this on a 3.5 octave xylophone here, which is probably around the same size instrument that you will have for the audition. Starting at the lowest note, dragging my left hand up quickly, and then striking that F natural with my right hand. Now, the second section, which is beginning here in measure 34, we have a different syncopated figure with these forte piano rolls and also the octaves that end the second phrase. Now, there's two types of rolls that we have in this section here. The composer has indicated this forte piano half note roll, which should be connected as much as possible to the A flat. And then at the end of the phrase, we have these octaves, E flat, D flat, and C, with a eighth rest at the end of the phrase. So there's a disconnection there. We want to stop just before we begin the final statement. So the second phrase, I'll play that under tempo first. And there's that separation there between the roll on the octave Cs and the minor third that you play on F and A flat. Now, a couple of things to consider here is volume. We have a nice strong opening statement in the first phrase, and we immediately have to get softer here in the mezzo piano. And then we want to take the entire time to crescendo on that forte piano roll up to mezzo forte. So we don't want to play too loud too soon. We want to be a little bit more constrained with our dynamics. So those accented forte notes at the end of the phrase are definitely going to be the high point or the peak of our phrase. Now, moving on to the final section here, which begins at measure 38. We again have that similar figure that we had at the beginning of the second section, but we have now added in these thirds. Okay? And we also have an addition of these eighth note triplet figures that come really out of nowhere when we've had a lot of eighth note, 16th note syncopated rhythms. Right there at measure 39. Looking forward, again, we have this crescendo to forte through the E natural roll, one of our few accidentals that we have in this etude. And then finally we have this long descending F minor scale going 2 octaves from F all the way to the bottom of the keyboard, and then finally a gliss up 2 octaves. So I'll play this section under tempo here, and then we can talk about some details of this. Okay, so that section there, we have to make sure, again, just like before, we have different types of rolls. In measure 39, we have the E flat and G roll that ends on the and of 4, resetting ourselves for the piano that comes in the downbeat of measure 40. The E natural roll, we want to see if we can extend that and connect that as much as possible to the final statement, to that F natural for the descending scale. This time, again, with the gliss, but we have to go 2 octaves all the way up. So that last measure, we have those accents at the end there. We play that double stop on F and A natural, our second accidental that we encounter. We have to quickly move the right hand to get it in place for that final note. So I'll play this final section now at tempo. So, I'm going to play the etude all the way through at tempo, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and look out for part 3, which will be discussing the timpani excerpt, which is at the very beginning. And if you haven't seen my video on the snare drum excerpt, please check that out as well on my YouTube channel, and please feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions.